Today we're going to take a look at the Delonghi Eletta Explore. This is one of the fanciest machines that Delonghi offers in the Superautomatic range. And we're just going to take a look and see what it can do. This one is, I think, popular because it can do hot drinks, it can do cold drinks. You can flip this part up here and accommodate a larger to-go cup. So this machine offers quite a bit of features. It also has compatibility with an app. It's got Wi-Fi. I believe it has Bluetooth. And so we're just going to try out some drinks. We're going to do some hot drinks, do some cold drinks, do a to-go drink. I plan to also do a hot cocoa and a tea to show you all those things as well. This is really a beast and it can do a lot. Let's get started. I'm going to turn it on so that you get an idea for how long it takes to turn on, what it sounds like, and that kind of stuff. I can also turn it on from the app. I could also turn it on from the app, but the thing is, you see here, as soon as it turns on, it cleans itself. So what that means is, even though this app has Wi-Fi and I could turn the machine on remotely, I couldn't really start a drink because first I need a cup underneath it to catch the water. And you know what, before we go into the rest, I'm just going to say it right now, the app is kind of a turd, and we'll look at it later. The machine itself, however, is good. So let's just get started on the machine. I think we should take a look at it first. So this is a Delonghi Superautomatic, like you would expect it to be. All right, here's the right side, just so you can get a look here. Here's the front, obviously. Here's the other side. Really, nothing too crazy going on there. That is the water tank. It's got a sensor in there. All right, and the interesting thing about this one is, however, from the standpoint of manufacturer, it is actually made in Italy. My particular model is, and that's kind of a nice thing. It's got a pretty good sized bean hopper on top. All right, let's see if you can see the grinder right here. I've got the grinder set at about 3.5 right now, and that's because I got some nice fresh beans here. These are from a local roaster. They're kind of like a medium dark roast, and they were roasted about 4 weeks ago, so I'm expecting a good amount of crema. I'm expecting a little bit of nougat, certainly some chocolatey notes out of the shot, and I think that they're going to be good. I have tried several different beans on this machine. Some that are a little older, you gotta tighten the grind on. I might go down to 2.5 or 2. I have even stalled this machine. This can grind fine enough and make a puck large enough, like up to 15 grams, so that you can actually stall the machine. And that for me is a good sign. A lot of the cheaper machines, they'll only allow smaller pucks, they won't grind as fine, and so it just runs out with not very much pressure, and you don't get a very intense shot at all. This one does. So let's start off with an espresso. Actually, before we do that, there's 3 macro buttons here on the machine. There's to go, there's cold, and there is hot. So there's also favorites. So really there's 4 macro buttons. I generally use the favorites. We're gonna start with hot, and I'm gonna just choose an espresso. Now, I have experimented a lot with this machine. I've tried espresso at varying intensities. You can choose 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is the setting for the timer, essentially, for the grinder. So if you have it set at an intensity of 1, it's gonna grind for 5 seconds. Intensity 2 grinds for 6 seconds, 7 seconds, 8 seconds, 9 seconds. And since this grinder grinds at about 1.5 grams per second, you can get anywhere from 8 to about 15 grams in your puck. And that is excellent. All right, so how I've been doing these dry weigh tests is I've been grinding and then canceling the grind, ejecting it and weighing it. Let's go ahead and try that with a Doppio Plus. First, we're going to tear out our grounds catch container. Now let's grind a Doppio Plus. Cancel the grind. Now it's going to compact it, it's going to eject it, and we can weigh it. Alrighty. There we go. and 13.6 grams for the doppio. It does vary a little bit. I do get up to 15 grams, but it kind of depends, I think, a little bit on the controller inside, maybe on the grind setting. I got a grind setting of 4 right now. Finally, I think it's a little bit dependent on the bean itself.
Getting value from this video? Please take a moment to like and subscribe.
All right, so anyway, we got an espresso here. I am going to leave it at intensity 5, and let's just program this one. We're gonna choose my, and then I'm going to start that. I'm gonna use my scale, and I'm gonna stop it at right around a 2-to-1 ratio, maybe just slightly before. If you have something like a little bit darker roast, sometimes it's advantageous to actually cut it off just a little bit before that 2-to-1 ratio. So what I mean is, if the puck is 15 grams, a 2-to-1 ratio would be 30 grams here in the cup. So anyhow, let's go ahead and start. Brew. Little pre-infusion there. Okay, 10 grams. I'm gonna stop at about 22 right there. So, of course, it keeps flowing just a little bit. So I ended up getting 30 grams out. That would be exactly a 2-to-1 ratio. And you can see, ooh, that is full of crema. So we're getting a good amount of pressure on that extraction, and these are nice fresh beans. They've got a fair amount of Robusta in there as well. That's gonna give you an additional amount of crema and also more caffeine. So let's just give it a taste. Oh, and let's save that. That's a good setting. Oh yeah, that is a nice creamy shot. Certainly getting a little bit of nougat, milk chocolate in there. It's got some nice sweetness. I don't taste very much acidity in this bean, but for Superautomatic, that is a nice espresso, and I find that it's pretty tasty, pretty balanced, and I'm very satisfied with what you can get with it. Because as I mentioned, you can get actually good sized dose. You can get a grind fine enough. So what I'm using for bean, by the way, is this Cappuccino by Martin Müller. It is 60% Arabica, 40% Robusta blend. Macadamia, milk chocolate, yeah. Very nice, very tasty bean right here. And that's really the key. The better beans that you put into any of your machines, the better you're gonna be. Now, this machine, as I said, it can do all kinds of drinks. It's also, I think, a little bit of a marketing ploy to have so many different drinks on the display. That is something that annoys me a little bit, but that's kind of the nice thing that you have favorites there. All right, so one of the drinks that I like the most, however, in the mornings is to make a coffee crema. So if we take a look at our favorites, where's my coffee crema? There it is. Now you can see I nearly stalled the pump on that one because these beans, they are really fresh. I might actually have to open it up a notch, up to 4 on whatever I pull next. You can see it is full of crema. And that for me in the mornings is a nice tasty drink that I like to start off with. A good size, maybe 6 ounces or so, 5 or 6 ounces, and that is what I like to start off the day with. All right, there we go. Drink is finished. Nice thick head of crema on there. That is tasty. In case people are wondering just how hot the drinks get, this machine does make them quite hot. It's actually a little bit too hot for me to sip right now. That is 76 degrees. So I'll let that guy rest. Now there's a whole bunch of other drinks, as I mentioned. If I go back to hot drinks, you got Espresso Soul. Now what that is when you got to set up a new bean, it will tell you go to the app, and it's going to take you through a wizard to ask you what's the roast of the bean, how much Arabica is in there, 100%, or is it a ratio? and it's going to ask you where your grinder setting is at. Then it's going to pull a shot, and it's going to ask you, how did it taste? Was it weak and watery? Was it nice and balanced? Or was it strong and bitter? And based on that, it's going to tell you, okay, adjust the grind a little bit, or adjust the temperature a little bit. So essentially, that's a wizard, that Espresso Soul. Then we got the espresso, the coffee crema, which we just did, the 2 times espresso. Now, if you want a really strong shot, that's what I would recommend. That one gives you 10 seconds of grinding, or 15 to 16 grams in your puck. And you got the Doppio Plus. The Doppio Plus grinds for 9 seconds. So that's essentially like taking the highest intensity on your espresso. Then you've got tea, hot water, flat white, cappuccino, latte macchiato, Americano. An Americano will pull a shot first, and then it will pull water here through the coffee exit. There's also a long, and a long, what that does is it does 2 shots, 6.5 seconds each, and it pulls a shot short when short pulses. Boop, 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 boop. It takes a long time. I'm not going to bother showing you on this video, but a long is just another extended coffee, essentially. But let's do an Americano, just to get an idea what that looks like. It's a true Americano. First the shot, and then the water on top. So right now it's ejecting the puck out of there and getting ready to heat up the water. In the meantime, let's get our milk carafe set up for a milk-based drink. And we have not just one, but we have 2. So the black one is for hot drinks, the white one is for cold drinks. I don't know why that is, doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. I guess the process must be somehow a little different, but I don't know. Okay, let's just top that off a little bit. So what we're gonna try next is, let's do a latte macchiato. So that's going to be milk first, and then there's the Americano. You can see the Americano is a fair amount lighter than the coffee crema. The Americano doesn't grind quite as long on that setting. So yeah, that one is a little lighter. Some people like lighter drinks, some people want less caffeine, and you can set it up as you want. So that's kind of the good thing. So what we're gonna do though is remove this water spout here. I will mention something that kind of annoys me about these Delonghi machines. You gotta be, in particular, I am operating this from behind, so I have to be careful not to accidentally press the buttons, otherwise they start. So those capacitive buttons, they can be a little annoying. Hot drinks. Now it shows a latte macchiato, a cappuccino mix. Did I say flat white? It shows all kinds of things on there. Really, all it is, it's essentially the same drink. You know, it's an espresso shot and it's milk, but it will tell you to put this milk at a different setting. So if you go to the left, it's going to be more milky, and if you go to the right, it's going to be a thicker milk. For me, for my preference, I find it's the best right at about 3/4 there. So let's go ahead and do that one time. Latte macchiato. High intensity, of course. Brew. Oh, please fill up the milk carafe, yeah. Okay. It does take a little time to warm up to steam temperature, and then all of a sudden it will eject. Okay. So there's my latte macchiato there. You see I nearly spilled it. I had it set up before, but I must have accidentally screwed up the settings somewhere. So I had to stop it with the milk, but that's fine. Didn't go over, and you can see the espresso dropping down through the milk. That looks really pretty. You can see the 2 marks on top here. That's why it's called a latte macchiato. Macchiato means mark. And it's a tasty drink. The machine, I'm impressed by how it's able to do the milk foaming. It makes a nice texture. It gets sweetness out of the milk. For me, Delonghi does a bit better job than Philips does with the milk, so I'm pretty impressed by that. And these more expensive machines, whether it's this one, the Eletta Explore, or the Dynamica Plus, they allow you to grind fine enough and to have a large enough puck that you also get a pretty nice espresso shot in there. So that is our Latte Macchiato. Oh, by the way, it does have you clean out your carafe afterwards. It's saying move it to clean. And then it cleans out essentially the portion there from the machine through this extension. But that is just a part of the carafe. That's not the entire carafe, of course. You can see the stem going down into the milk. That doesn't get clean, and neither does the carafe itself. So I really recommend, if you're using this machine or any Delonghi machine with one of these carafes, you can put this in the fridge like this now, but you certainly want to clean this out on a regular basis, every couple, 2-3 days, ideally. One time I forgot it in the fridge for like 5 days, and then the milk already started curdling. It's gross. So make sure to clean this every couple, 2-3 days at least. All right, so the claim to fame for the Eletta Explore are the cold drinks. So let's just try a cold drink one time. Again, they have various ones, a cold espresso, they've got a cold brew, they got a cold coffee, and so on. To be honest with you, a lot of them still come out hot, but you put it on top of ice, and so the ice cools down the brew. There is, however, a cold brew, and that one, what it will do is actually brew over a long period of time, and it will lower the temperature of the extraction as well. Let's do a cold brew. Choose the intensity of your drink. Ooh, intense. Next. Okay, let's start with 4 ice cubes. So this machine comes with a little ice cube tray. And in fact, the ice cubes are about the same size as what comes out of my fridge. So I'm just gonna use my fridge ice cubes. So it says use 4. For an optimal temperature, please start a quick rinse to cool me down a bit. We're gonna let it cool down. It's cold brew. All right, so let's go ahead here and make our drink. All done, place a cup and I'll make your drink. So the cold brew is altogether really a different process with this machine. And I wasn't sure what to expect, but it does, as you notice, cool the boiler down. It goes really slowly here with the extraction. It just pumps a little bit at a time. So you can see the flow rate is certainly lower. Let's see what temperature it's exiting at. So it's exiting at 37. That's what I would say about half the normal temperature. Yeah, so I will call that a real cold brew, as well as a Superautomatic can do one. I'm kind of impressed to see it's able to change the mode like that. So between the colder or lukewarm extraction and the ice in there, you're going to have a more refreshing drink, I think, in the summertime. And I think what we'll do next is prepare the cold milk foam carafe. These carafes, by the way, you can take them apart to clean them. This comes completely off, this selector switch like that. This comes off like so. This is the spigot, or it's what essentially attaches here into the machine and connects this part to the machine. The stem comes out. Yeah, and this is dishwasher safe. Actually, I've washed all of these parts in the dishwasher already on both of these, the cold and the hot, and that's kind of a nice thing. So let's put this back together. Pretty easy to do. All right. Okay, so here we are. That's my cold brew right there. Give that a stir. And you know what? Let's just check the temperature with the ice in there. Oh yeah, that's chilly. It's just 2 degrees. Of course, well, it's got ice in there. Yep, at the bottom it's 3. Pretty chilly drink there. That could be real nice and refreshing in the summertime when it's hot. Anyway, it's a pretty tasty drink. It's still got a good amount of intensity to it, despite being brewed in a cold or lukewarm fashion. Yeah, it does taste different than the hotter extraction. Still good. So, that's our cold brew. Let's see. Let's make one cold drink next. Cold. Let's do... Oh, what the heck? Let's do a cold cappuccino. So, cappuccino. How do I want it? Extra ice. Next. Start with 8 Delonghi ice cubes. I'm just going to use this. I'm not going to bother counting. Brew. Oh, got to put this guy in there. Reminds me, of course. It's telling me also I can cool it down, but I did just cool it down, so I think it's going to be fine. So I'm just going to skip that. And here we go. Kind of the funny thing about the Delonghi machines. Kind of the funny thing about these Delonghi Superautomatics is anytime they call something a cappuccino, they generally do the milk first, and then they do the espresso afterwards. But traditionally, a cappuccino is first espresso and then milk on top. So there's our cold cappuccino. I think I might like a little more milk on there. Let me just add a little bit more milk to it. And I'm not going to clean right now. I'll do that later. Cancel. Cold milk. I wanted to see how cold it is. 25 degrees. Oh, okay. So there we go. My cold cappuccino. All right, so a couple of cold drinks there, cold brew, cold cappuccino. Clean this. What we should do next is make a drink in a travel mug. We're gonna talk about use case or user case for this machine, and I'll show you the menu. Let's go ahead and make ourselves a to-go drink. I used to have a Yeti tumbler, a larger one, and it would fit in there as well. I lost it in the meantime. So, to-go drink, let's do a hot one. Let's just do an Americano. All right, so what this travel mug option does is it puts in 2 shots, because of course it's a much larger container. So it's gonna do 2 shots of Americano, and then it's gonna put hot water on top. And then I'd like to show you one more thing. A lot of people ask me, can you do hot cocos on these machines? And yes, you can. So anyway, as you can see here, there's actually quite a bit of space there to fit in your container. Let me go get a tape measure. You got 7 inches or 18 centimeters of clearance. Just gonna stop that. That's enough. That would be our travel mug drink. One thing I want to show you that I think is really cool is making a hot cocoa, because if you've got kids in your house, I think they're really going to like this feature. And let's talk about use case really quick. Of our household of 4 people, 2 of us like this machine. I get a kick out of experimenting with it and see how good I can get the espresso out of it, and the milk foam is good. And my youngest also loves to use the machine to show it to his friends, to make himself a tea, to make himself a hot cocoa. He just really gets a kick out of it. My wife, on the other hand, and my older boy, they're not very interested in this machine. My wife is spoiled by a portafilter machine, which it does make, in my opinion, the best drink, but requires more work. And not everybody has the time or the desire to put the work in. But anyway, let me show you how we make a hot cocoa. So, we're gonna go here to hot milk. Yeah. So I got the hot cocoa powder on the bottom, and then you just stir when the milk comes. That's it. let's cancel that. Oh, I already had that one set up, all right. So yeah, there it is. There's our hot cocoa. Oh, and the hot cocoa's temperature is 57 degrees. One other thing you can do with this machine is make tea. So let's put the water spout back in. I oftentimes get the question, how hot does it extract for tea? So what it does do is give you different tea temperatures. So if we go to hot and go to tea, where's tea? Come on. Tea. I've got a black tea bag here. Let's just see how hot it gets. Brew. Okay, it's at 90 degrees, 91, pretty hot. 93, 94, 95. So as you can see there, throughout most of the extraction, it does, on the hottest level for black tea, extract anywhere between 93, 94, 95 degrees, which I think is quite hot and also pretty consistent. So I hope that's a good reference for you guys if you're looking to do tea on this machine. You can see it's steaming, it's pretty hot. All right, let's take a look at the user interface. Alrighty, so if we're looking at the user interface, we've got different buttons on here, macro buttons essentially. We've got rinsing, descaling. I already had the descale once, by the way, because I've used this quite a bit already. Then you've got connectivity, so you can connect an app to this machine. You can adjust your grinder, your coffee temperature. I got it set on medium, by the way, for this demo. Languages. You can create profiles, your standby time. You can choose if you want it to beep or not. I kind of like that as a feedback. Water filter, water hardness. I have this set for very hard water because we have hard water, and what that does, it reminds you at a certain frequency to descale, which is real important. Drain water and statistics. So that is the menu, and I mean, the display itself is quite nice. It's pretty responsive. I would say the color contrast is quite good. It's pretty nice to use. I got no issues with the display. And it's kind of what I would expect in that price range, to be honest. Let's just take a quick look at the profiles. All right, so we got various profiles on here, up to 4. You can choose the color, you can choose an icon, and you can put in the name. So if we have a look here, there's Tom, I got my wifey on here and the 2 kids, and then they can just select whatever. They can choose their profile, and then they got their own favorites, which is quite nice. Yeah, it's just kind of a nice shortcut feature to switch in between users. All right, now I would like to start the app on this machine and show you what the app can do, but also show you the limitations, because the app is quite slow. I'm gonna start it up right now. I'm gonna put this on the screen as well, and I'm gonna use the app myself. So what you're gonna see is that it's quite slow just to even start up the app. And it does vary a bit. Sometimes it works a little faster than other times. I don't know why it varies, but if you're buying this machine, buy it for the machine, not necessarily for the app. That would be my advice. Okay, so now it is just about connected. Okay, now we're connected. So what we do have here is an overview of a few things. You've got your favorite drinks, so doppio, flat white coffee, and so on. You can see my profile is in the lower right. And what you can do is parameterize some of your drinks. So if I take a look at hot, if I want to change, let's say the cappuccino, I can click on that. I can pull up on the settings, and I want to change the intensity to be extra strong. And I want to move the coffee quantity down to, let's say, 35. And I'll save it. And now it's going to send the parameters from the phone to the machine. And I do think that that happens via Bluetooth because it is quite slow. So the machine does have a Wi-Fi connection, And I believe that's how the app is able to connect to the machine, even if you're outside of your home network. But I kind of think that they're communicating right now via Bluetooth, and it's not really fast. But anyway, you see what you can do there. You can set up the setting like that, and you could start a brew if you wanted, just from here. Okay, so one of the coolest things that you can do with this app, however, is you can use it for the bean adapt, or also known as Espresso Soul. So what that is it's a wizard that the machine runs you through. It asks you about your beans, it runs a shot for you and asks for your feedback, and then makes a couple of suggestions. So let's try that out one time. I'm gonna choose bean adapt. Let me get my scale tiered out here. We're gonna add new beans. It is an Arabica and Robusta blend. A medium to dark, I would say. My grinder setting's at 3.5. Okay, brew an espresso. So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so it stops right there at about 35 grams. Pretty decent crema there. I think it uses just a medium intensity, however, so a medium amount of time for grinding. I would normally choose the high intensity for my espresso, but let's just give it a taste and then we can see what kind of suggestion it gives us. I would say it's actually pretty balanced. All right, so I would say in this case, it's closest to balanced or okay for me, but I would like it to be just a little bit stronger. So for that reason, I'm gonna choose watery and weak, although it's not actually true, and to see what it tells me. Okay, there you go. Based on your coffee analysis and on your feedback, these are the suggestions. Medium temperature, strong aroma. Okay, strong aroma. So I'm pretty sure that it didn't give me the strong. I think it gave me the medium aroma or intensity. And it says, okay, why don't you switch your grinder position to 3? That's going to give you a little bit finer grind, and it should help to get a more intense espresso. Add a little more pressure to the extraction. Finally, you can name it. We're going to call this MM Choco, and we can even add a picture. We're going to take a camera, take a picture of our beans just like that, and then we got the beans saved as a profile in the machine. So if you're switching between beans that are fresh, for example, and you have a grind setting of, let's say, 3.5, or if you're using beans that are, let's say, older, or maybe a decaf, which needs a finer grind, then this will remind you, okay, when you're putting those in, then turn the grind down to 2, for example. So that's just a little bit of an impression of the app. You can see there's quite a bit of lag there, and I find that annoying myself, but I wouldn't really be using the app for the machine. I would just be using the machine because I like something to be quick and snappy, and I just want to get my coffee. So if you're considering the machine, get the machine for what it offers. Forget about the app. That would be my recommendation. Thanks for watching this relatively boring portion of the video. All in all, I would say it's a very nice machine. For Superautomatic, it can do a good job on espresso. It can do a good job on milk foam. It can do hot drinks and cold drinks. It can do, the travel mugs. So it's pretty universal. The user interface I like. It's pretty nice and smooth to use. You can just set your favorites. Otherwise, if you couldn't do that, I would find it quite difficult to sift through all the different drinks you have. But once you set your favorites, you're good to go. It's just kind of the question, is this for you or not? Are you going to use cold drinks? Are you going to do the travel mug? Because if not, then I can recommend the Dynamica Plus. That one is a bit cheaper than this machine. It performs exactly the same in my experience. So the Eletta Explore is really for if you want to do cold drinks and if you want to, be able to do a travel mug more easily. This has a Wi-Fi interface, but the app is terrible. Honestly, just use the machine on its own. All right, guys, I hope you liked the video. I hope it was helpful for you. And if so, give it a like, If you thought it sucked, give it a dislike. Whatever the case, until next time, I say happy coffee drinking, happy espresso drinking. Bye now.